In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of radio affiliates. The program is actually taped and produced at Fairfield Christian Academy. We have the students here. They do a terrific job. Behind the scenes is Kelly Roberts, our executive producer, and I'm appreciative of each and every one of you that join us every week. And we've got a great program. We had a great program last week. Back by popular demand is Chief Dave Ward, the fire chief here in Lancaster. And so how long have you been the chief?
I've been the chief finishing 5 years, starting 6.
It's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. It's gone fast.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a born and bred Fairfield County fella. I grew up out in Amanda area. I still live out that way. Graduated from Amanda. Went a couple years after high school to OUL, transferred to Athens. After college, I worked in sales for a while, industrial sales, and happened to take the police test and the fire test here in town, and the fire department called me one day ahead of the police department, and I just took the fire department, and the rest is history. I've been with them now, just finished 27 years, getting ready to start to 28.
Wow.
So It's gone fast.
Yeah, my son-in-law had a similar circumstance. He tested for Columbus Fire, he checked the police, and he was hired by the fire, and then he got called from the police sometime later. So
yeah,
so
it's been a wonderful career.
Oh, I can imagine, yes.
One of the nicest things I have enjoyed is that being a small town of Lancaster, you know a lot of people to start with. You go on the medic runs and you know people, and you're helping people that you actually you know. So it's
right.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. I can remember when I was with the Columbus Police Department, there was a part of during my career I actually was assigned to the neighborhood where I lived.
Oh, really?
And it was so much fun because I knew the person at the market, and it really was truly community policing for me, because even the elementary school that I went to, there was still the same principal there, and at that time my daughter was going to the school where I went to, the elementary school, and so for a year or two I was back in my own neighborhood where I grew up, and it was the same thing. I knew a lot of folks, and it was great.
Now, how many years did you spend at Columbus Police?
27. 27 years, and before that, Washington, D.C., and amazingly, we're starting our 17th year as the sheriff of our county, and it's been a blessing, and we have wonderful employees that make the sheriff's office look good.
Good.
They really do. They do a terrific job.
It is a great department.
I'm proud of them. I really am. Now, some of the things we talked about last week, into the Christmas season, we talked a little bit about Christmas trees and things like that. And what about a lot of people will preheat their cars and stuff. Now we're in this.
We are getting into the season where it's cold in the morning and people like to go out and they start the cars up. And, cars create a lot of carbon monoxide. And, if you start your car up, back it out far enough out of your garage that it's not coming back into the house. Okay. You can generate a lot of carbon monoxide, and it doesn't take too long. You can really create lethal levels of carbon monoxide very quickly. In fact, within minutes or two. And if you're in an apartment complex, if you're doing that, then it's putting your neighbors at jeopardy as well. So you back that car far enough out of there that it doesn't create CO. And speaking of CO, while we're talking about it, a lot of times we'll have power failures. And this year, we had 3 firefighters who went on a run over on the west side during a power failure. And they happened to notice that, and it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They very easily could have just not noticed. But they took care of this patient, and then they happened to notice the neighbor heard a generator. And the generator was inside the garage, a portable generator. So we have these little devices that will measure CO. And so they knocked on the door at 3 in the morning, and the neighbors saw the lights, so they knew it was fire, police, somebody. And they opened up the door, and we had our monitor with us. And as soon as they opened up the door, the monitor went off. And I am confident that if they hadn't have done that next morning, that would have been 1 or 2 people that would have passed away because they just didn't realize how much CO and how that was drifting back into the house, and you have just gone to sleep. So carbon monoxide is a big deal. Make sure that your house has a carbon monoxide detector. If you have one, it shouldn't be any older than 10 years. Those are sensors, and those go bad. So make sure, at year number 8 or so, just replace them.
And if they're running those generators, a lot of people today have generators. If the power goes down, they don't want to. They need to get that a distance. They don't want that by a area.
No, you don't want it at your intake. You want it far enough away from your house that it doesn't come back into the house. A lot of people, and I don't see it too much maybe in town, but out in the country where a lot of people maybe will try to rig up their generator system where it will, throw the main and then backfeed your house until the power comes on. That's a dangerous thing. South Central Power has a great program where you can get to transfer switches, the throw switches, and have certified electricians do that kind of work. So
right.
Nothing to mess around with.
Right. Yeah, that could be dangerous.
Yes, you can't see it or smell it, but it will kill you.
Now, the other thing, and we talked about before airtime, is an escape plan.
Mm-hmm. We go out into the schools a lot, and we teach the children, and it's always good to refresh the adults, is that practice what you preach. And so you want to know what you're going to do before it happens. And never does it happen. The highest incidence of fatal fires happens at night. So you want to already have practice with your children, your spouse, how to get out of the building, and know 2 ways out of every room. And then also, once you get out, you want to make sure you have a path to get out, where you're going to meet when you get out. Make sure you have a way to account for everybody, to call 911. You don't want to go back inside a burning building. So there's a lot of things that you want to do prior to that event happening.
What about like a rope? If you're on
second floor?
Children, if you have 2 stories?
Yeah. My daughter lives in a farm, and they've converted this barn into a house, and so there's really, right now, only one way up as far as stairs, but we purchased a rescue rope for them for Christmas or something a couple years ago, so that they have a way to get out. It's a ladder, it's a rope ladder, just to get out.
Well, that's some really important things, because I've got to believe a lot of folks aren't really thinking about that.
Right.
And I think some of the times we think something like that always happens to someone else.
Yeah.
A major fire, electrical strike where it initiates the fire. What is the most common cause of a residential fires that you've seen?
I would say it's cooking.
Okay.
People that will, you start cooking, you get it, your attention gets distracted, you go off, and the stove continues to cook. It catches on fire, catches the oil on fire, and then we're off to the races. It catches into the cabinets, and there's ways to try and put the fire out yourself, and there's ways not to. Obviously, you don't throw water on a grease fire. If you can, you want to make sure that you put the lid over a metal lid. Glass could crack, but if you can, smother the fire. That's what you're really doing, is smothering the fire. Okay. If you don't have a lid, then you can use an extinguisher, and hopefully everybody has a multi-purpose ABC extinguisher that can put the fire out.
We talked last week about the importance of smoke detectors, making sure, I think you said, check the batteries yearly or replace the batteries yearly. How important is it also having carbon monoxide detectors?
It's just as important, I think, as smoke detectors to have a carbon monoxide. If you have gas-fueled appliances,
okay,
electric doesn't generate CO, but gas does, or wood. So it's very important.
Now, I think last year you mentioned another cause of fire is the dryer vents.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and when we talk about going out and inspecting these apartment complexes, we make sure they have to keep a log. So when you go out to these big places, they have a maintenance schedule where they have to clean those dryer vents. And if you've ever seen how quickly dryer lint can catch on fire, it's quick. So I would recommend sweeping that out on maybe a monthly basis. And then those little portable catches that come out of the dryers, you always want to, after every use,
clean
those out.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more along the lines of the tubes that go out. You want to make sure all that stuff is cleaned.
Just for the viewers or listeners that may have missed last week, because it's so important, this is a time when a lot of people have their Christmas trees, they're stringing extension cords all over the house to light the candles. Let's just cover that one more time in case folks missed last week's program.
Don't daisy chain the extension cords and try to get more from less. It's a dangerous thing. You overload the circuits, you overload the breakers, could start a fire. So that's a no-no.
Okay, and as far as some precautions to take, is there when people are picking out Christmas trees, and I know it's a little late in the season, are there some things they can do even before they buy the tree to make sure the tree is fresh?
When you go out into like Psalms or wherever, make sure that the needles are nice and fresh. If you shake it, if they're falling off, that tree's dry, or if it's already cut. You can go to the fairgrounds and you see that there's a place that you can buy them. When you do that, make sure that the needles don't just fall off, that they're pliable, that they're fresh. When you get it home, cut it off about a bottom 2 inches of your tree so that it can have that uptake in water.
Okay, good. Yep. And what are some of the other services that the fire department offers to the community as far as I'll just give you, we had our carbon monoxide detector went off in the middle of the night, and the fire department, we called, they came out and did a check around the house.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that. Anytime you have a question, whether it's smoke detectors chirping or your carbon monoxide's going off, please call us. We'll come out, we'll check. 9 times out of 10, it's just the age of the device.
That was ours, right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we do. I'd kind of like to touch base real quick here on, since it's getting cold, is that people a lot of times will try to use alternative heat sources like portable heaters.
Okay.
And now that the UL, Underwriters Laboratory, you have the tip-over protection. So if you are using electric heaters to heat your house or your apartment, make sure it has the tip-over protection. Right. So that if somebody, a cat or dog or kid knocks over, it doesn't fall onto the carpet and continue. It should shut itself off. If it doesn't, get rid of it. It's just not worth it. Very important for that.
Yeah, because I know that I've had situations where maybe a room or office was a little bit cooler, and so we would start one of those portable heaters, and they would.
And a lot of times people, maybe on fixed incomes, will try and heat their apartments with an open oven. We don't recommend that as well. So you just really want to be cognizant of how quickly a fire can happen.
How often do you have like electrical strikes where it starts a fire?
That's more of a spring thing, I think, when we have some hits where maybe hit the house, get into the attic, and catch on fire. But it doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
Yeah, not often.
What about in the old days when they used to put
I have a lot of gray hair, Sheriff, but I'm not that old. It's not been part of my career.
Well, they used to be. If they built a barn or a house, they had the electrical, and then they had it grounded into the ground. And I just don't know if that was really did any good or not.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Not part of the fire responsibility.
No.
We're about out of time. Chief Dave Ward, appreciate your service. Appreciate the service all that your men and women do with the fire service. They do a terrific job. As I mentioned last week, we had a medical emergency on 9/11 this year, and I just can't speak highly enough of the service we received here in our town.
And as we wind this down, I would just like to thank the community for allowing us to work for the citizens of Lancaster. It's a great city. It's a great department. We're so blessed to have jobs that we do to go out and help people. So on behalf of all of my firefighters, we thank the community.
Clock on the wall says we're about out of time. What wish you? Merry Christmas. New Year's coming up. Be careful. And let us not forget the reason of the season, the birth of Jesus Christ. Till next week, same time, same place. God bless. If you're driving, buckle up. We'll see you right here.